Hey guys!
Hello!
We haven't heard that in a while.
I have been busy, but I am back. I have returned. And in this video, we are going to show you guys 3 new projects that are mainly for making our photo studio slash video studio more epic. And so the first one here is our camera sliding rig, as promised. And so this camera rig is all recycled parts that we got. So the rails are from some old scanner that our Wrkshp ended up receiving and not needing.
They were gonna throw it away because it was scuzzy.
Yeah.
And yeah, I kind of agree with that sentiment. A scuzzy scanner isn't really all that useful in this day and age. But the linear bearings in it were good.
Right.
And the rails were good.
Right.
So there you go, camera slider.
Yep, and that's what we ended up harvesting from the scanner. So the rails obviously are from the rails from the scanner, and then underneath the camera, running along the rails, that carriage, is the 2 halves that I guess marry up with the rails that originally belonged.
The carriage was much wider originally, and I took my Sawmax and I cut off the left and right sides of the carriage, and then of course sanded it smooth because this was all covered in like aluminum casting joints that connected to the carriage, but they're all like gone. You can see a few of the cut marks left over. It didn't need to be perfect. This is working great. This side we rotated it 90 degrees and attached it with a sort of an aluminum tube as a standoff, just to get the 90 degree, or I guess it would be 0 degrees, but 90 degrees to the table height pretty well dialed in. And we were actually pretty accurate with that. We used a machinist square, so that is very level. And then Addie took a couple pieces of poplar, cut them out on the bandsaw, and drilled a 1/2 inch hole here and here. Very accurate spacing, and copied that spacing exactly on the other side so that the rails were running in parallel to one another.
Correct. Alright, so here's the closer view, and of course we've got the 2 ends of the original scanner carriage here in the aluminum. And then on top is a camera mount. And we made use of just the extra space on the camera mount by countersinking a screw that helped hold one side of the carriage, I guess, rail guide here. And let's see if I can show the underside. And there we go, bolt.
And that's a quick release off the top of one of our tripods, because it already had the 1/4-20 for the camera, the locator pin, and underneath it has the nice wing nut for taking the camera on and off easily.
Correct. So yeah, so this is our camera sliding rig. And and we'll show you guys some footage of how it looks in action. So you may be wondering why we don't have our yellow table in frame. And actually we do. Underneath. Woo! Look at that. The colors were a bit garish for some of the things that we wanted to do.
I think the color is great. The camera, however, disagrees with me.
Well, sure. And I love greens. But so what we ended up making was a backdrop, really, that is more camera friendly and that works better with our studio lights up here. Remember these guys? And so this actually happens to be a vinyl that we picked up at Joann Fabrics. And I think last Saturday we ended up working on this rolling mechanism that would help to give us this nice curve here. So just to show you guys a close-up of how we made this, this was an old oak I guess, staircase front that Peter, or wire engineer, brought to the hackerspace, and so here we are using it because it's got a nice smooth surface here in the front for the leading edge. And then we have 2 cedar brackets. And if you think of it like kind of like a big toilet paper roll, that's essentially how I treated this. This is a massive toilet paper roll where...
Before the argument starts, in the bathrooms, we have the toilet paper coming off the top.
It's true.
But here we wanted it underneath so that this acts as a tension roller in between that roller and the fall.
Right.
So it's not like a toilet paper roll in the sense that it needs to come over the top.
It needs to.
Needs to.
Right. So underneath here is a PVC pipe, and in order to fasten this vinyl piece of fabric, we ended up dadoing a channel about, I'd say, what, 1/8 inch deep?
Well, it's 1/8 inch thick walls on this PVC, and it goes about 3/4 of the way through.
Okay. So we created a channel, put the vinyl into this channel, and then on top of the channel we placed a very thinly cut piece of oak, and then screwed along, you know, every, say, 2-3 inches with little tiny screws, and of course that required pilot holes and such. And then on top of this is actually silk tape, just to help keep any bumps from forming in the vinyl. Because vinyl, as you know, if
when you roll it up, you don't want this to create a line that runs down the backdrop.
Right. Because otherwise you, the audience, will end up seeing those bumps and we'll hear about it.
It spoils the effect.
Correct. And if you can see just the tiny little ridges, at first we were a little worried that it might be too big, but once the lights are all on and once the camera's far enough away, you don't really notice it. So it worked out. So yeah, this is how we ended up making our pretty epic
Studio backdrop. Project 3.
It is a table turner. Is that right?
Rotary table.
A rotary table. It's a table that rotates. And so what we ended up starting with was that motor, which I believe was from a rotisserie?
Maybe.
Maybe, we don't know, but it turns very slowly. And apparently only uses 20 milliamps of
It's very
current.
quiet.
Yeah.
It rotates very smoothly, and the gear reduction is very high. So, yeah, it's got a lot of torque.
Right. So we started from this, and so we needed to make the chassis for it, which just so happens to be this lovely creation.
Yeah, I left the bottoms open so that the cord can come out and so that you can reach that power switch.
And we've got some box joinery here. And let's see. I think originally with the motor there was a faceplate that came with it. We ended up making a wooden faceplate that matched the mounting holes, then mounted this, or the motor I guess, directly to this wooden poplar. And then placed a kind of a guide for all of these rails. Yep. And these are the bearings. I think we got these at Axeman?
Maybe.
Yeah, surplus store up in Minneapolis.
If you shoot down in there, you can see the square little slot there that the axle goes into.
Yep. So then our table essentially sits on top of this and just kind of goes with the flow.
I'll grab the table and we can take a look at the bottom of that. Okay, so we have a nice big round piece of fiberboard with a piece of poplar glued to it. The metal guide plate there, bearing surface. And the axle is made out of black palm.
Correct.
Because that stuff's very heavy and very hard.
Yep. And so it's on this pivot point that we essentially rotate this entire table. Let's see if I can show.
Sitting nicely on the bearings.
Yeah. And the cool thing is it matches, well, because we use the same fabric, it of course matches the background. And so we are going to plug this in and we'll show you it working. Boop, boop. I hope you don't include any of this, because that was off tune. Bum 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 bum. Cypher Con the badge.
I have to include it.
No, you can't. No, you can't. What is that's for people who are privileged enough to sit in the studio. Alright, so there you have it. We've got 3 cool new camera projects, and a lot of those projects will be used in new videos that we'll be making, which will end up actually on our other channel, youtube.com/TYMKRS. So if you aren't already subscribed, go on over, please subscribe, and you'll be able to see our project videos there. But if you still like watching the Rabbit Hole Hackerspace videos, as well as our Wrkshp videos where we show behind the scenes, that will still be here at this channel. So don't go away, just subscribe to both. And yeah, I think that's all we've got for you guys today.
All right, see you guys later.
Peace. We post videos all the time, so don't forget to subscribe and follow us on Twitter at TYMKRS.